What's up, everybody? We're live. It's Dubs OT with JD, John Dickinson from Las Vegas. We've got Greg Silver back in San Francisco, and not only back in San Francisco, but at Harmonic Brewing in Thrive City as the Warriors prevail tonight over the Phoenix Suns. They get the win 113-112, a thriller tonight at home for the Warriors over at Chase Center. And they win it 113-112. Fourth consecutive win here during big game week in the Bay Area. And the Warriors have crawled all the way back now to the 500 mark at 25-25. It's four straight. It's 6 of 7. It's 25-25. They're 7-3 since January 24th. With a 1-point loss to Sac, a 1-point loss to the Lakers in a couple overtimes, and the OT loss to Atlanta, which was their last defeat a week ago tonight. Stephen Curry with the heroics, Draymond Green with the defense, and just a spectacular game tonight in San Francisco. Felt like a playoff game. I know, Greg, you were on hand at the game. I was watching in the casino. The casino blew up here when Stephen Curry hit the three to put the Warriors up 113-112. This is a game we've seen the Warriors lose. It looked like maybe they were going to let it slip again, but a terrific, high-level, well-played basketball game, both plays that goes in the Warriors' favor, my friend. Good Saturday evening to you, brother.
Good Saturday to you, JD. You deserve it after a long week of Super Bowl coverage. I feel like a lot of people on this YouTube stream deserve it, being so devoted to the Dubs and seeing some of the games that they have not been able to win this year. It looked for a moment like we might even have our third straight overtime on a Saturday, because there was the Laker double overtime, you had the Hawks overtime,
right.
And you're thinking, is it going to be 3 overtime losses in a row? This is definitely one that felt very needed out here in San Francisco, and I know that our football team is in the Super Bowl. So, yeah, we're living a little spoiled right now, but no, unbelievable atmosphere with Chase Center. I thought the first half it was pretty nice energy, but some things in the second half really just ignited it. And I got to be honest, JD, I don't know what your take on that Draymond technical foul was, but I think the crowd was fully behind him, and I think he played better afterwards, kind of like a maniac. And the crowd was just fully into it for that whole second half.
Yeah, I thought Draymond was spectacular tonight. I thought he was on one similar to the way he was on one against the Lakers a couple of weeks ago in a good way. For all of the discussion about officiating and this call or that call, I thought the non-call on that Draymond layup where he picked up the tech, it was Booker that grabbed him. Like, that was a clear foul. I mean, that was that was one of the most egregious misses for everybody to see over I think of the whole season, to be perfectly honest. But Draymond got the tech, he reacted, but then that was it. Like, he got the tech, and that's fine. I mean, it was a really bad call, but he didn't let it snowball into something bigger than picking up one tech. So I think even in having that be his first technical foul, he was able to keep everything under wraps and under control, which was great. His defense was terrific on Durant on that final play there with 0.6 of a second as they were trying to get the ball inbounded to Kevin Durant. Draymond forcing the jump ball that Beal would end up winning, but forcing the jump ball after Kuminga had been stopped a couple of times at the rim. I mean, an unbelievable block by Durant, and Kuminga short-armed the putback attempt there. Looked like, all right, the Warriors are going to be in trouble. Draymond forces the jump. They don't win the jump, but they play it out. And, you know, you look at the way the Warriors handled it, they got the stop. They called the timeout before the ball was advanced, and then Curry buries the three. Hell of a pass by Podziemski. Had Klay Thompson out there as a threat, as a three-point shooter, and I just thought it was just a phenomenal, well-played game, and the Warriors were rewarded with some of the spirit that they've shown here over the course of the last week and really the last 2.5 weeks, because I think that we talked about this the other night. You know, this team they're on a roll going back to really the break after the passing of Coach Decky, Dejan Milojevic, it's been a different team with the 7-3 record and the close losses that they've had. But to be able to bounce back from the close losses and have this week of 4-0 and to seemingly be finding their way with new lineup combinations. We talked a lot over the last week or month and a half about Kuminga. He breaks out. Wiggins is now joined Kuminga on this front line. Draymond's back, and Podziemski continues to be somebody now really among the finishing group in the spot for Klay Thompson. And so, that lineup with Steph and Podziemski and Wiggins and Kuminga and Draymond Green seems to be another little wrinkle that has helped elevate this Warriors team. Gary Payton II comes back tonight and is impactful in limited minutes, but impactful immediately. Hits a three, has a big dunk, a couple of dunks in this one for GP2. So, I mean, just a terrific win for the Warriors. And I think when you look at their opponent tonight and the Suns, who had Booker and had Beal and had Kevin Durant, they did a nice job defending Durant tonight. I thought overall, making Durant really have to work for his, and he ended up 24 points, but he took 25 shots and he was only 2 of 8 from 3. So Durant's line efficiency be damned was pretty damn good, 24, 10, and 7, but they really made Durant have to earn it in this one, and it all adds up to a win that I think, coupled with the other 3, tonight makes the other 3 stand up, and tonight makes the last 10, I think, going back to January the 24th, stand up. And oh, by the way, now they're back to 500 with a couple of games to go here, 3 games to go before the All-Star break, and an opportunity to push forward, which I wouldn't have dreamed was even possible, Greg, a week ago, that the Warriors could be with 2 of these last 3, even an above 500 team at the All-Star break.
No, and if there's a silver lining I can take in what's been a really rocky season, it's that games like this where every win is going to count moving forward. This was a playoff type of game where you're getting guys like Podziemski and Kuminga, really important experience. And Drew Down, I see talking about Warriors can't beat a real team. Right, this is a big test, and we went back to that a couple of days ago on our OT show when they beat the Pacers. Like, Pacers are a nice, fun team, but Kevin Durant is a first-ballot Hall of Famer. Devin Booker is a very, very great player offensively. And I want to keep it with the 2 guys I mentioned in Kuminga and Podziemski, because maybe I'm just prisoner of the moment. I think that's the best defensive game I've seen out of Brandon Podziemski to date. And then with Jonathan Kuminga, there's not a lot of negatives we can really say over the last couple of weeks, really month, right? I mean, for the most part, he has grown and continued to get better and better. But this was kind of a new test of, okay, but can you do this against Kevin Durant? Can you do it against Devin Booker, a team that's won 12 of their last 15, and with a lot of star power? And he fully rose to the occasion. I thought the fact that he picked up that 4th foul on Grayson Allen when he was kind of pleading that Allen flopped a little bit, and that was mid-3rd quarter. And for him to be under control the rest of the game and not just get out of the game with fouls, because the truth is they did need him badly. I thought that was an unbelievable step for Jonathan Kuminga. And then for Brandon Podziemski, for the coaching staff to have the trust in him, for him to be out there and close. I know I texted you in the 3rd quarter saying I thought that was going to happen. That was the closing lineup with Podziemski and Klay Thompson's spot.
It was, and and I think rightfully so. I mean, I think Steve Kerr's given Klay Thompson half a season to try and figure it out, and he's got to play the hot hand there down the stretch in a lot of these games, and they've been able to do it. So we appreciate everybody tonight watching on YouTube and Twitch, also watching on the KNBR Twitter, as well as it is Dubs OT with JD and Greg Silver out at Harmonic Brewing in Thrive City. What was the atmosphere? I'm in Vegas. You were in Chase. What was the atmosphere like over there tonight? It felt, watching the game in the casino, as if it was a big game. It had a night before the Super Bowl, ABC Saturday Night Showcase. All the stars were playing. Big time, almost playoff. It felt like a game in April or May and not a game in February. Did you get that impression from being in the building, and when did it really ramp up?
Yeah, that's a good question for sure, because I think that coming into the arena, I mean, I'm a big basketball junkie, and I'm very thankful that you gave me this opportunity today while you were in Vegas to be out here at Chase. So immediately thinking, well, you got at least 4 Hall of Famers on the floor if you're going the big 3 for the Warriors, and Kevin Durant, and maybe Devin Booker gets there eventually too. So I was just really happy to see some of the best basketball players. I thought the first half was a good environment in Chase, but it really ramped up in the third quarter. And I think the Draymond technical was the catalyst for when it started feeling like a playoff atmosphere. I really do. And I think once it kind of escalated there, it never really looked back. I thought every big play from there just had a different extra push from the crowd. And it just kind of this like angsty, I don't know, just kind of this craziness that you feel in a playoff-like atmosphere. It had a lot more oracle in it, if you know, you know, being from the Oakland days. So it was really cool to see. I think that the crowd just really rallied around Draymond Green. He hadn't had a technical since he came back from suspension. And then when it finally happened off of that missed foul call, it was almost like everyone's like, yeah, you know what? I am just as mad. And then, no, fun environment.
Yeah, it was great. The game felt massive. The pace at the beginning, I thought, was just tremendous. You know, you had Draymond-Nurkic mixing it up early, and then Draymond takes the charge on Nurkic, and he's kind of mouthing at Nurkic. Draymond's mouthing with Durant at the end, kind of start staring him down there. Gary Payton II, we talked about him coming back and contributing early. Got the dunk, hit the 3. Second quarter, I thought the thing that was going to do the Warriors in tonight, Greg, was missed layups. A lot of missed layups on the interior. And, this game, you never, as well as the Warriors were playing, as much as they were in position to win, this game all night felt like the kind of game that the Warriors would play really well in and lose. And now they're back to 2 under 500, and it just quells a little bit of the momentum that they had built over the course of the last week. And now you got to go, basically win the last 3 if you're even going to be 500 at the All-Star break with a couple of games in Utah. But you win it. Like, just the fact that the Warriors won a close one at home after they, had a lead and then lost the lead and then regained the lead. And then it looked, I can't believe the conversation we would have been having. And look, I think Andrew Wiggins, he knew he had a foul to give on that last play, but my thought was, my goodness, could you imagine the outrage tonight at the officiating if that had been a shooting foul? And I think it was pretty apparent, at least watching it on television, that it was not going to be a shooting foul. It was clear the ball had been inbounded, so it wasn't going to be a before the inbound foul. It was clear that it was well before the shot and all of that. And it was clear that Wiggins obviously knew he had a foul to give, which is why he crashed into him in the manner that he did before he was able to get the shot up. But I thought, as much as everybody was worried, because you never really know once they go to replay, I think the officials got that call right, and it was going to be inbound again to the Suns. I do think it was a foul. I do think it was definitely a foul against Wiggins. But a non-shooting foul.
I could live with the foul call. I could live with that. What I was concerned about was exactly what you're saying, which is he fouls before the ball, before he touches the ball, and therefore the Suns get a free throw. Like, that was going to be the most 2024 Warriors thing to happen in that game.
Yeah, and so it didn't happen, and they won. It didn't happen, and they win the game, which is, the kind of game. This would have been another gut punch in a season really full of a lot of gut punches, when it looks like maybe this day, like this one to me would have been the Sacramento game a couple of weeks ago, or the Laker game, or even, the Denver game. Again, not blowing a big lead like that, but when you look at the Warriors and the way that they played in this game, really just high level, I thought, throughout, always had answers. The Suns, pushed the lead up to 5 there in the third quarter. Draymond picked up the technical that we talked about. Curry was hitting tough shots to keep him in it. Kuminga picked up his 4th foul. But Kuminga was doing his thing. He was mad dogged in the post. You had Lester Quinones come up big for the Warriors again. as he has over the course of the last week. So Quinones ends up, a couple of big 3-point makes in his 19 minutes. Not a great overall line, but a big 6 points in a game that the Warriors won by a single point at 113 to 112. But the Warriors had answers, and it seemed like every time it looked like they were going to put the game away. Of course, they didn't put the game away because the Warriors don't put any game away like that this season. But they had answers when the Suns would answer their runs. And again, just a thrilling game over in San Francisco tonight. And really, I do think we should pause for a moment. And I mean, I think, Steph Curry, like tonight's one of those games where you're just in awe of his ability to hit not only the game winning shot, but a 9 of 16 from 3-point range kind of a night en route to the 30 points. And that was that I thought was one of the cooler game winners that Steph Curry's had in his NBA career. And I think it went down as the 10th career game-winning shot with 5 seconds or less. It was the 6th.
I thought they only counted if there's literally zeros on the clock, right?
Yeah, it can be a game winner without it being a buzzer beater, right?
Oh, no, I know. I just mean people love to nitpick but he only has one buzzer beater.
Yeah, no, 10 game winners, again, with 5 or less, and 6 with a second or less. So to me, anything with a second or less might as well be a buzzer beater, although the Suns were hoping that they were going to get an actual buzzer beater when they were trying to throw it into Booker and then obviously throw it into Durant as well. But tonight is just one of those games where you just truly, on the biggest stage, that Saturday night showcase, this game the night before the Super Bowl, ABC usually puts a huge, that's usually one of the marquee slots on the entire NBA schedule. And, the night before the NFC Championship games is another one, 2 weeks ago. And it was the Warriors and the Lakers in that slot. Tonight it was the Warriors and the Suns in that slot. And so, for Steph to just rise to the occasion and deliver in the manner that he did at the highest level. I mean, it was just appreciate greatness tonight because he was just out of this freaking world.
100%. 100%. I think that was very much felt in the arena. I think that there's been a new sense of perspective a little bit with a lot of Warrior fans. And I thought the environment in the arena was actually great. I know online sometimes you can get caught up in some negative energy or people just having complaints about X, Y, and Z. I think people were very appreciative of what they were watching for the most part of tonight. And that goes well beyond just the finish and obviously that last shot by Curry. I think Gary Payton II got a big ovation as soon as he walked in and then immediately made an impact. And that really riled up the crowd too. Brandon Podziemski, just the little sidestep 3 in the corner he had, and then the transition layup to put them up 91-87, just like little momentum swinging plays like that. I think people were really getting into, and just the way that these guys were fighting. And I think that again, Steph and Draymond are the engine of this team, and we kind of expect greatness out of them all the time at this point, at least when Draymond plays. But it's the youngsters injecting a new kind of energy that I think is really great for the Chase Center atmosphere.
Yeah, and the Warriors are finding a lineup that can help them this year, but also help them potentially in the future. And I think that's the other part of this that we talk about every night. And one of the big questions had been, all right, well, what's going to happen when you start to add some of the players that have been out due to injury back into the rotation? And Moses Moody has been back now. I'm sure some Warrior fans are going to be upset at the Moses Moody DNP, but Lester Quinones has been playing well and had an impact. And now you've got Gary Payton II back and in the fold. And so, how would Steve Kerr divvy that up? I think it was a little easier tonight because GP2 was only going to play in that 14 to 15 minute range, but GP2 made the most of his 14 minutes, 5 of 5 with the 3, 4 boards, 11 points, couple of assists. He had a block and a steal. So his presence was felt. And, I had wondered, how is Steve Kerr going to use Gary Payton II, now that he's found this other group with Kuminga and Wiggins and Draymond and Steph and Podziemski and Klay, I think is part of that mix. Even though he, again, wasn't a part of the finishing lineup, he's still going to be a part of the starting lineup. And so, GP, how does GP fit? If Chris Paul's going to come back and play, how does he fit in the grand scheme of things? So I think tonight was an early box checked as to, Peyton played and had impact and didn't impede anyone else from positively impacting the game.
Get myself off of mute there. No, I agree. I think just seeing the final box score and that he only played 14 minutes, it certainly felt like he was out there for a lot longer than that.
Get 25 minutes of production in 14 minutes.
Right. And, another thing that you're going to start seeing more and more, and I think it happened in all 4 quarters, if I'm not mistaken, is the offense-defense substitution at the end of quarters, putting Gary Payton II in for a Steph Curry or a Brandon Podziemski or Lester Quinones. I think that happened all 4 quarters tonight.
Yeah, I think it did. I think it did. And that gives the Warriors an option to, gives them an option to go. I mean, they do have a lot of, specialists, I think, in some ways, right? Like they don't have enough. We've talked about two-way players at times, but they do have specialists. If you need an extra shooter here, you can do that in a situation where you need a shot. If you don't have an extra shooter, or if you need an extra defender, you can go to an extra defender in those 1 or 2, possession type situations, or in a 1 possession situation. So yeah, GP2 is a hell of a weapon when you can put him out in that particular setup. All right, it's JD, it's John Dickinson, it's Greg Silver. Greg out at Harmonic Brewing in Thrive City as the Warriors get the win tonight. They beat the Suns 113-112. So the Warriors 4-0, 6 of 7, 7 of the last 10, and the Warriors now find themselves back at the 500 mark. Still a long ways to go as you get into the standings and where everything sit. But the Warriors are 25-25, and that 25-25, at least at the close of business tonight, is still good enough for the Warriors to get back into the 10th spot. So they're level. They're a game back of the Lakers. They're still, 4.5 back of Phoenix. Phoenix dips with the loss tonight to 31-22. So they are now 6th in the West. Sacramento moves up to 5th. But Minnesota, the Clippers, Nuggets, Oklahoma City, you start playing better. We've laid out the path that the Warriors are going to have to follow, but they start playing better. And you start to creep up in the standings as well, which I think changed the conversation. And now we know the trade deadline is done. This is the team. This is the team. And whether it's Quinones is the 14th guy, whether it's a buyout market option as the 14th guy, whoever that winds up being, this is the team. So I think now they know they're playing better. They found something, and they have the ability to play carefree and with the relief of knowing that nobody is going to be going anywhere. The next real big box to check is how do they handle the return of Chris Paul, and kind of like Gary Payton tonight, he was able to play without impeding anybody else's role. Can the same be done for Chris Paul? Because we've seen, I think, Podziemski get more minutes in Chris Paul's absence, and we've seen others like Lester Quinones get opportunities more recently and be productive. So that is the next box, I think, that needs to be addressed here. But all in all, I think if you're the Warriors, you've got to be thrilled at 25-25. I think that's exactly what the Celtics were. We talked about that Celtics team 2 years ago. I think the Celtics were exactly 25-5. I'm sorry, 25-25 after 50 games. And I think they went, I want to say they went 26 and I want to say they went,
well, they 28-7.
Yeah,
something
20,
like that.
Yeah, something like that. They were 25-25. And then it might have been 22 and 22. Maybe it was 22 and 22. And then 20 and then 25 and 7 or something. Yeah, 25. Anyway, regardless,
they went on a tear.
They went on a tear, and you can go on a tear. And again, we don't want to get carried away off a couple of nice wins for the Warriors, but it's more than just a couple nice wins for the Warriors, Greg. This is really 2.5 now weeks of significant improved play.
Yeah, and it was interesting. One of the really cool things I got to do today was, and I thank you for telling me what time this would be at. I went to Steve Kerr's pregame presser, got to hear a lot of what he had to say, and I did get to ask him a question at the end, which was very cool. He's always great. And one of the things he was talking about with the Draymond return and the biggest impact was the change in the half-court defense. He's like, our half-court defense is so much better. He said our transition defense is still bad. So that's kind of the next box to check, I think, for teams that play with a really fast pace. But he's very impressed with the half-court defense. And obviously the Draymond, Kuminga, Wiggins lineup in the front court has been just tremendous. I thought Wiggins defensively was incredible tonight. I thought Kuminga was very good as well. And Draymond is the anchor of it all. So, and then the other thing I talked about was, or the question I asked him rather, was he had some pretty positive press conferences even after those brutal 1-point losses. And I just kind of wanted to know why he still felt so good about this group. And now we've seen them turn a little bit of a corner. I said, like, what is it you're seeing day to day that we might not be? It's giving you this belief. And his larger message was, he was pretty honest, and he said, like, sometimes as a coach, you just kind of know, like, you can just kind of feel it if you have a group that has good chemistry and can connect and grow together versus when you don't, which, probably like last year. And I think he just felt like even when they were going downhill, he never felt like the vibe was terrible. I mean, they've been through a lot, and then obviously had a team tragedy with Decky passing away. But I think by and large, like, he enjoys coming to practice. I think that the team really enjoys being around one another, and they just needed a couple of breaks to go their way. And this is the kind of win that at the very least erases the pain and energy and stress cycle of having to have just another brutal loss where you fall short. And now it's like, okay, like, we can just take a little bit of a breath here. And hopefully that the next week it doesn't, there's no big problems that are presented to where they can head into the All-Star break and kind of consider it like a true opportunity to just reset a little bit, because these first 50 games have been anything but smooth and routine, JD.
They have been, and look, now they get a shot to go to Utah, and you see how that shakes out. They play the Clippers, who I think have been playing as well as anybody, and then another game in Utah. That makeup game coming up on Thursday, the 15th, before they go. But so I think they can taste the deadline or the break here coming up, and I think they feel like they've righted the ship a little bit going into the break, which gives them an opportunity to come out of it and to be able to still push forward. And so I think suddenly, and look, we talked about it, it was going to take a winning streak of some kind, right? It's 4 in a row now. And so, they've just have been so inconsistent, or blown games, or just, unable to sustain quality play over enough portions of these games or lack of being able to finish a lot of these games, to where they just hadn't been able to separate. They just hadn't been able to make it 4 in a row. A 4-0 would be a 3-1 or a 2-2. And you just can't make up the ground unless you actually pull off the 4-0. So JD and Silver, it is Dubs OT with JD and Silver here, KNBR, the sports leader. Let's dig into the YouTube chat. Appreciate everybody. Buco Sports here just off the top. If this is the team, then the Warriors don't need no one else. Well, there you go. Buco happy with this Warriors roster as it's currently constituted. I think it makes a lot of sense. The Warriors didn't show panic at the trade deadline. I think they showed a confidence in Kuminga, which became an obvious one. I think they showed a belief in Wiggins, and maybe you could say, well, they dangled Wiggins and nobody wanted to offer anything of consequence. If they could have gotten anything of consequence, they would have moved on and dealt them and all of that. And maybe that's true. But I think they saw enough from this team as they are over the last couple of weeks to make the determination that they wanted, in the worst case scenario, assuming they couldn't do anything big, to be able to allow them to, finish this season, and you see where you are, and then you make the bigger picture adjustments if you have to in the off season. But now you feel like you found something in season. You have Kuminga, I think is the level of play. I know there were some that thought, all right, that third year leap was coming and he was going to be this player all year long. Regardless of whether you thought that or not, he's becoming that player now at a minimum is, I used to say at a minimum, a quality role player. I mean, right now at a minimum, he's their secondary scorer. Like, he's their number 2 shot taker and scorer, over the course of this stretch. I'm with you. I thought his defense was pretty good tonight. A lot of on-ball defense, which tends to be more his strength. So nice game from Kuminga. We talk always about how Wiggins is coming along, even though it isn't always perfect. Podziemski is a find. Podziemski is, second in the NBA among all players in terms of total charges drawn. His inbounds pass to Steph was fantastic on the game-winning shot, even though it almost got stolen. It was still a nice pass. Beal gambled on it, and Curry's able to haul it in and just hit a spectacular shot. So the Warriors have, Klay Thompson, I think, is the one question mark. Big picture, I think Chris Paul's the one question mark. In the short term, how does he get reacclimated? He probably ends up playing more than Lester. I would imagine it's him and Lester Quinones. Unfortunately, Moses Moody finds his way as the odd man out again, but his time will come. I think when needed, whether it's due to injury or as Steve Kerr has shown, he is not going to be reluctant to throw Moses Moody into a game, even if he hasn't been playing a lot. But all in all, this roster is they've found a group that I think they feel like they can finish this season with.
Yeah, for sure. And I think Dario Saric also wasn't particularly impressive tonight. I mean, his play's been good enough to get him some spot minutes here and there. But somebody brought up in the chat that when Draymond's off the floor, don't really have great options at center. I thought Looney actually worked hard tonight. And I took notes on this part, which was in the second quarter, the lineup that they started with was Podziemski, Saric, Quinones, Klay Thompson, and Kuminga. And it was really Kuminga that was carrying the load offensively to a point where, the Warriors fell into a little bit of a hole. I think their 7-point lead shrunk to 1 for the most part, but it wasn't like a complete disaster like we've seen over the span of 2 minutes for this team sometimes. Real quick in the chat also, Drew Down, correct, we're not taking calls tonight just because we're streaming only, but very likely to be back on radio on our normal process on Monday.
Yeah, Monday night back at 808 KNBR to give us a call or shoot us a text. We are also working on the technology to be able to take calls in the future on the YouTube and Twitch only stream shows. But that's going to be a conversation and some technological stuff that's going to be worked out here after the 49ers season is over and through the All-Star break. And we're going to have that up and running by the time that the Giants season is off and rolling. And there are going to be more conflicts, obviously, with Giants, to where we're going to be having some stream only / podcast / maybe on a sister station type scenarios, but we're working on the full ability to be able to take calls. And I can tell you we are going to be back on Monday at 8:30, right around 8:30. That game in Salt Lake City is going to tip at 6, and right around 8:30 you can look for us back on KNBR, win or lose, regardless of what happens in the big game tomorrow between the 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs. Bay 510 area. I'm truly blessed not only to watch Steph every night, but it's even sweeter that he wears Golden State across his chest. Incredible. Bay 510 area. Yeah, I think that was sort of the sentiment that I wanted to share with everybody. Just, when I kind of paused for a minute, it's like tonight was an awesome game. It could have been a heartbreaker, but it also was just it was just a vintage Stephen Curry superstar, biggest moments. Like people will remember the final shot that he hit tonight 20 years from now, 30 years from now. Like when the Suns and the Warriors are playing 30 years from now, there's going to be a highlight of the shot that he hit in one of those games. And so it was the legendary type stuff tonight. And I think when he does that, because he is still so box office, you do have to acknowledge and appreciate it in a big way. And the game that he had with the 9 3-pointers and the game winner, that one felt like a Kobe or a Jordan, right? Like Curry's had some game winners and we laid out the number of them, but that felt different. That looked like a Kobe, Jordan, LeBron type of a game winner where it's just, I got to catch it and go up, where I think a lot of his other game winners are putting the ball on the deck, getting it in a pick and roll, setting up with a dribble and hitting a step back, kind of a three. This was just a catch and I got to get it up type of a shot. So especially after the Bradley Beal had tried to go for the steal and it looked like, is this going to be a turnover? And then he's able to grab it, get into his shooting motion and just go up with it. Just phenomenal stuff from a guy that's going to be 36 years old here in little over a month come March.
Pi Day.
Right. Yep. March 14.
Yeah.
March 14.
By the way, happy 40th birthday to Zaza Pachulia. We're becoming the birthday stream.
Is that today?
That's today.
Zaza, happy birthday, Zaza. Yeah, so appreciate that. Silicon Valley, man, big win, even though Klay did his best to wreck the win. I don't know about that, but a hell of a win indeed. Look, Klay Thompson's struggling right now. Only 24 minutes, like you said, 5 points. I mean, we're seeing, I think, the acceptance stage of Klay Thompson coming to grips with the notion that he just may not be an every night closer anymore for this team. And it is going to be based on not only how he plays, but also based on how others, including Brandon Podziemski, are playing. And so he's grappling with it. I think you can tell he's struggling with it. I know the Anthony Slater interview from a couple of games ago where he didn't finish the game and he was pretty emotional about it. I know Klay's missed a couple of games here over the last week too. But I mean, we're kind of witnessing, it feels like in some ways, a potential changing of the guard in terms of, maybe who that guard is going to be next to Stephen Curry. And I've had the thought, not that they have to do it right now by any means, because I think it fits their rotation to still have Steph and Klay out there together. But it leads me to think, and I don't want to go too far down this road, but it does lead me to think, Greg, could less the Klay part, but more could Brandon Podziemski be the starting 2 guard next to Stephen Curry next season? And how would that look? And would you be happy with that? Would that be enough? I guess if you say, all right, Brandon Podziemski is going to be the starting 2 guard next to Steph Curry, when you look at the way that he's played.
I think the answer in the bigger picture of things is yes. If we're going to break it down a little bit from what I've watched, I think what you get is really hardworking guy. If Draymond, Wiggins, and Kuminga can be your other three next year, which is clearly working in the front court, I think you get 5 guys that can defend as a unit. Kuminga's getting better at team defense. I think Podziemski will continue to get better at the team defense. I do worry a little bit about the shooting. I mean, that's something that can be improved, right? So I'm not saying that how he's been shooting for the last 2 months is going to be the case for the rest of his career. But when he made that first 3 tonight, he almost like pointed up to the basketball gods to say like, oh, finally, it's about time. He also had the cool little side step back around Nurkic in the corner there in the fourth quarter to boost the lead to 6. I think it was 102 to 96 at that point. But yeah, that's kind of the one area that gives me pause, just because Kuminga's been shooting it nicely, but you don't want him necessarily putting up 7 threes or more in a game. Wiggins can be extremely streaky, and Draymond, as much as it's been a surprise this year with his percentage, I also don't think that's like a long-term over the run of a playoff series kind of solution that you have there. So that's kind of what I think.
Yeah, and look, we don't have to answer the question now as far as Podziemski goes and you know what his ceiling is and all of that. I mean, I think his ceiling's a pretty damn good NBA player. It's just made me wonder the way that he's played in conjunction with Klay Thompson being a free agent. And, you know, I think, you know, put tonight as another night in the category of, wow, I could really see Klay Thompson not being back next year. And if he's not back next year, where do the Warriors go as far as who that starting 2 guard is going to be next to Stephen Curry? And the incumbent candidate, without a doubt, would be Brandon Podziemski. And then, of course, you would then need to figure out who your backup point guard is going to be. Is that going to be Podziemski? You would need, you know, some shooting at that point. But again, don't have to get too far ahead. But much as Kuminga is becoming the starting power forward for this team and has earned it, Podziemski is forcing his way into the conversation if Klay Thompson finds his way off the roster as to being the possible replacement. And I think, you know, if that winds up being the case, all of a sudden we have to revert back and we go to the conversation about, oh, the Warriors don't have these young players that are ready to help and contribute and haven't been developed and all of that. You could basically, by the end of this year, have 2 young players earning starting spots from guys who helped the Warriors win NBA championships, basically with Kuminga taking Looney's spot and Draymond slipping to the 5, and Podziemski potentially for next year taking Klay Thompson's spot around Steph, Andrew Wiggins, and Draymond.
Yeah, and again, like they're a far cry from a championship team right now. Like in the same way that my mindset was pump the brakes a little bit after the Pacers win and the 4-1 road trip. I mean, hey, tonight was a great win, right? Like I think this one probably goes in the category of the Celtics win in overtime of best wins of the season for the Warriors. But you know, they're still 25-25, and I think that the prospect of getting a top 6 seed feels like a bit of a stretch right now. Like they got to continue really high level of play for 2 straight months following the All-Star break here. So, you know, I think you can, if we're talking about like the larger lineup fix and trying to continue being a competitive team and continue a really strong play while you still have Stephen Curry and you still have Draymond Green, then I think Kuminga sliding into possibly Looney's spot and Brandon Podziemski sliding into Klay Thompson's spot. Like that seems to be the logical pieces to the puzzle as of right now. But I don't know if that necessarily gets you a championship team, considering that Draymond's only going to get older. Steph, who knows how well he'll be playing at the age of like 39. I mean, maybe he'll be LeBron 2.0. And by the way, I know Steph and LeBron get a lot of praise for how great they are at their given age. Kevin Durant, it falls right into that category too of old man who is damn good at basketball.
He's phenomenal. He's phenomenal, and didn't hit the 3-ball tonight, but basically hit everything else on the court tonight. But I thought the Warriors really made him work for it. And yeah, I mean, when Steph hit the 3, you're thinking, all right, they're going to try to get the ball to Durant or Booker, but probably Durant, and he has the capability of hitting the same shot basically that Steph hit. To be able to put Phoenix back ahead. And again, we'd be having a much different chat tonight here on YouTube and Twitch. All right, it's JD, it's Greg Silver, it's Dubs OT with JD and Silver here, KNBR, the sports leader. Drew down LFG, Drew down. This was from a little bit earlier. FL Dubs fan. Even the refs could not take this one from Curry. Except for Saric, entire team played tough defense. Wiggins, amazing defense. Tough assignment for Brandon Podziemski on Book, but help eventually came. Yeah, Warriors, a lot of different contributors to the positive, really up and down the stat sheet when you look at this game. Buco Sports, this is the lineup. Drew down where the Warrior haters at. Warrior haters can kick rocks. Yeah, I mean, that was a hell of a shot by Stephen Curry. Just incredible stuff. Rockin' New Era 84. The vibes feel different for this team. Let's pause on that note. The vibes do feel different. And again, it's hard to say that when you're 1-2, as the Warriors were. 2 weeks ago tonight, they were 1-2 since their return after the break. But you mentioned it, and as far as what Steve Kerr had to say about believing in this team and what they had, even in the close losses, that's nice. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, but eventually you have to go out and show it, and the Warriors have been able to go out and show it with 6 of the last 7 in the win column, and now the 4 in a row. But yeah, the vibes do feel different. I mean, Klay Thompson, I think, wishes he was playing more and wishes he was playing better. But beyond that, Greg, I feel like this team is, they are better connected. I think the chemistry does feel better. The juice feels like it's there right now for the Warriors. Draymond feels, I know he got the tech tonight, like it just looks like he's in a different headspace, which I think is good. Ability
and he did get the tech tonight, but like not all technicals are equal, right?
He wasn't out of control. He was not out of control. He got a tech, he earned the tech, but he was not out of control.
Yeah, correct. And I think Nurkic was very clearly trying to get under his skin in the first half. You saw Draymond take a charge on Nurkic when Nurkic just went right at him. You saw Nurkic foul him once and kind of stand over him a little bit. I thought it was funny how Kuminga ran over to Draymond immediately a couple times. It was like,
that's his usual. That's his norm. That's the new norm for Kuminga. Kuminga's Mr. Calm Draymond down. He's the Draymond whisperer.
Yeah, and but I agree. It was a tech. It should have been a tech, and I think he probably knew he was getting a tech, but it was, hey, I'm really mad that you missed this foul call on this bucket I got, and not like I'm just going to lose my mind and start swinging and doing things that are going to get me suspended. I think it really has stuck with him how much he cost the team the first half of the year, because he certainly is not playing with a reckless mindset. Like, he's not taking it seriously right now.
No, but he also wasn't going to back down from Nurkic and didn't back down from Nurkic. Mixed it up with him early, took the charge, as you mentioned. He's John. It was he looked. I thought he was spectacular tonight. I thought he was just fantastic, and he's been fantastic in a lot of games over this last couple of weeks since he's returned. Drew down, adding a couple of more here. JK, another 20-point game. Yeah, and he's the secondary scorer now. Like, he is. He's the guy that's putting in 20 along with Steph that they weren't getting at any point, and he's getting the shots. He's getting the shots. Of a secondary scorer, and some of them maybe are coming from Klay. Put that one back up on the screen that you just had. I wanted to, I think this is a great point. Fried rice and duck sauce. Kuminga's emergence as the secondary lead scorer has taken pressure off of Wiggins. He's playing so much looser. Yeah, something when you talk about the vibes and all of that, the energy, whatever it is, I think Wiggins smiled tonight. Did you catch Wiggins smiling? You may not have, because I know you were in the building, but there was a point where Wiggins was standing on the free throw line. It was early in the game, and he was standing on the free throw line during a free throw on the the rebound line. And I can't remember the player that he was talking to for Phoenix, but they were just, they were kind of standing there, and Wiggins was, I think it was the first time I'd seen Wiggins smile since the finals in 2022. And so, yeah, the cameras caught it for ABC in the Saturday Night Showcase. If you were in the building, maybe you didn't catch it, but Wiggins does feel like there's a weight off of him. And it's fair to wonder if some of that is the fact that as everyone was playing so poorly between him and Klay, and they were taking the brunt of the heat, because if Klay was struggling, where does everybody go? Everybody go, well, Wiggins has to be the guy he was. He has to be who he was 2 years ago. And if he's if he's not doing it, then he takes more of the flat. Now it's just Kuminga's taking care of it, and Wiggins can just kind of go out there and play and not have to worry about being able to score regularly, because he's still struggling with his shot. Like his 3-point shot's still not there. He's still missing some at the rim. So he's in a place where he's, I think, playing much better, but I do think Wiggins could continue. I think Wiggins could even play better than he has been here moving forward over these last 32 games.
And I think it's really clear, which we brought up a couple of nights ago, but showed on full display again tonight, is you very much need Wiggins and Jonathan Kuminga for this team to reach its full potential. So now them being able to play together, it really changes things, because you're not going to cut Kuminga's minutes, but you also needed Wiggins' defense 100% tonight. So you got to have them both, and the fact that you can have them both now makes it so, hey, this team can actually beat some pretty good opponents.
Yeah, there were also a few people in the chat again asking about Moody, and you can't play everybody. Like you can't play everybody. That was one question that I've asked Steve Kerr repeatedly, including a couple of weeks ago when he was on. I was filling in for Tom, and he just said, everybody's not going to be happy. That's just reality. And basically he said there's going to be somebody, and maybe even a couple of players, that are not going to be playing at all, or not going to be playing the minutes that they believe that they should be playing. And they're just going to have to deal with it. And so I think when you look at that, right now it's Moody. I know at times in the past it's been Moody. I think Kerr's rewarding Quinones, but I think Moody could get an opportunity to play some in that Quinones spot. Just kind of looking at the rotation tonight, and you mentioned this, I was curious how he would use GP2. GP2 was basically on offense the backup four. It was Steph, it was Klay, it was Wiggins, Kuminga, and Draymond Green. And in the first half, the backup four, it was GP. And so that allowed Kuminga to get his run. GP comes in at a position that he's been familiar with, but now you don't have to worry about Draymond. Like with Draymond not being the four, you don't have to worry about Draymond blocking Kuminga, and then you want to play GP2, and then GP2's blocking Kuminga. It's like no, Draymond's a 5. You fill in the other center minutes off of that. Kuminga's the 4. Payton's the backup 4. Kerr again, juggled. Podziemski comes in for Klay. Quinones was coming in for Wiggins. I think that's the spot. Quinones coming in for Wiggins. That's the spot where I think Moses Moody can play a little bit. I also though think that's going to be the spot where Chris Paul is going to start playing a little bit, and then that puts the Warriors in some smaller 2-guard lineup type situations. But I think what you're going to start seeing is Podziemski out there. Chris Paul's going to be out there. Klay Thompson's probably going to be the backup 3 still. Payton becomes the backup 4. And then you've got Draymond as the starting 5. And then it's either Looney or Trace Jackson Davis. And we saw in the game tonight that it was Looney in the first half and Trace Jackson Davis in the second half. But when you look at if Moody was going to play tonight, it would have been at the expense of Quinones, and Quinones was impactful and has earned the opportunity. Even though Quinones is clearly a guard, the Warriors have been playing guards as forwards here a lot, including with Klay Thompson during this season.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I was actually looking through Twitter because we can't do our typical Sounds of Silver.
Yeah,
I know someone. We got FL Dubs fan is thirsting for it a little bit. So I was finding some quotes out there, and I sent a couple to you, JD. We have Draymond Green. This one's via Anthony Slater. Draymond Green was asked about the too small back and forth taunts with Yusuf Nurkic, and he says, "You can't be a nothing defender if you're going to do that." That was a funny quote. And then Steve Kerr said, "Jordan, Duncan, Steph, just get the ball to those guys and you're going to win a lot."
Wow. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that's exactly right. I've got another one here from Shayna Rubin. Draymond on Nurkic. He was hitting me a lot too today. You could go back and watch the film, just like zoom in on him. There was a lot of little cheap shots, but I know his goal was to get me out of the game. No one wants to see me in the game because that makes the game. And I had to click on the rest of the tweet here to be able to see it. The rest of the quote. No one wants to see me in the game because that makes the game a lot tougher. But I'm not going to quibble or argue with that one as all. I mean, teams are going to. And look, Nurkic was the guy that it's clear Draymond doesn't like Nurkic, right? And so he didn't like Gobert. And so the guys that have had the ability to, put that one back on the screen. That one just stopped me in my tracks. Adam Copeland, program director and host of Colbert and Copes here at KNBR, the sports leader. JD is for real doing Dubs OT in his hotel room while I am inebriated in the lobby. Yeah, that's true. I saw Copes before I came up here. I watched down at the casino, which was an awesome experience. 49er fans are just taking this place over. And there are a lot of Chiefs fans. There are more there. It is like 75-25. It feels like in terms of Niner fans to Chiefs fans. Now that doesn't mean it'll be that way in the stadium. It could be just fans coming here to party, but they were reacting down the stretch of the Warriors Suns game to every big swing. And there were a lot of big swings. It was a really cool vibe to be watching it in the sports book and in the casino. I kind of made the rounds to a couple of different places by where we are to watch the game. And it was a lot of fun, but yeah, Copes knows how I roll, man. This is what our third Dubs OT show of the week, in addition to covering the Super Bowl. I mean, I wouldn't have it any other way. And let the record reflect, by the way, and I'm not throwing you under the bus. But I do want to let the record reflect that the reason we couldn't do Wednesday's show was because of a Greg Silver scheduling conflict and not a JD scheduling conflict. Now, again, totally fine.
Totally
no
true.
Big deal.
It's factual.
We had the
it's
trade
factual.
deadline, but people are like, JD punted on Wednesday. It was actually like Greg had a legitimate scheduling conflict. So I was like, you know what? Trade deadline's the next day. We're going to be doing another show the next day that fits better into the schedule with the game at Indiana. We can midweek in Vegas. That was a nice little time, I think, for everybody to catch their breath and move forward. But yeah, I came locked and loaded to do 4 of these bad boys this week, and all of a sudden the Warriors are hot.
Yeah, maybe we got to just skip 25% of the shows if they want to just kind of continue this good momentum. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't know about all that. Warriors win 113-112. Dubs OT with Jay. What's the vibe at Harmonic like tonight? You took my seat over there, the corner spot. I know you talked to Jimmy, who runs the place, and great guy. Great
Jimmy.
Great vibes on a Saturday, especially with the early start time, and so people have the ability to go over there and hang out and have one.
It's a good vibe. It's gotten a little bit more empty would be the wrong word. It's just kind of just gotten to a little bit more of a normal crowd. Definitely popping at the beginning. Haven't even gotten my surprise beer yet because they had needs of the real customers, which I totally respect. So no issues there at all. But yeah, it is mellowing out a little bit. Very good vibe here still, though. I'd say about 75 to 80% full right now.
Nice. No, that's great. I would imagine it was buzzing right at the final horn with everybody pouring over, from the place that we shall not mention, that to Harmonic and to Thrive City and to where Dubs OT now lives here on KNBR, the sports leader, on the regular. And I'll be back out there following the game on Valentine's Day night. Happy Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day. I'll be out there for all love, Warriors and the Clippers on Wednesday night. The game sandwiched in between the two trips that the Warriors have to Salt Lake City, Monday and Thursday. A couple other. Do you have any more, Sam? We could do some fun with numbers. I want to keep it going, maybe another 8-9 minutes or so. Try to get to as many in the chat. What time are you off, JD? 8 or 9 minutes. There you go.
There we go.
The boss wants to know. When the boss wants to know, you let the boss know. Yeah, we'll about 7 or 8 minutes, and I'm gonna get cleaned up, and we'll go have a couple. We'll go have a couple on the night before the Super Bowl in Las Vegas. Holy moly. I mean, the vibe. The vibes are. I may even run into that other Silver at some point too.
Boy.
Who I did run into. I ran into again last night on my way back. I will not say what time it was, but it was on the way back from the evening, and had one more
to go to bed early. Just begging him to go to bed early before the Super Bowl. Not going to happen, but I can try.
Yeah, no question. FL Dubs fan, come on Niners, your turn tomorrow. Let's get a clean sweep of this weekend. Warriors, officially 500. KG says Booker hooked Wiggins' arm on that one. Refs were blind tonight. Look, you can say that. Wiggins crashed down on him. And so it was that they got that call right. I'm not going to argue that call. They got it right that it was after the inbounds and before the shot. And so fortunately, no harm even with the foul on Wiggins in that situation. But clearly Wiggins knew that he had the foul to give. Rebel to Sounds, what up, JD? And Greg, as we run through a lot of the chats here. Douglas Mikes, don't trade Wiggins. Well, that's an offseason conversation now. San Jose Jazz fan, the third, Mike Breen and Doris were enjoying that tech on Day a bit too much. At the point at which the tech happened, I didn't have the sound. So, and I know you were in the building, so we can neither confirm or disconfirm that one. There were other points in which I did have the sound, but that was not one of them. Alpha Nickelberry, Dub Nation, JD. People chiming in on a bunch of different things. People complimentary of Booker's game. And then Booker hacked Steph, another no call. A lot of people complaining about the officiating tonight. Joe H, what a great win. JD, hell of a win. I think it is right up there with one of the number one victories of the season. Enrique Rivera, Durant couldn't help but smile at the Steph dagger. Yeah, that was another one that the ABC cameras caught. Like they caught Durant during the timeout after Steph hits the 3 to put the Warriors up 1, and Durant just had that ride Durant smile, like that dude did it, like that freaking dude. And then there was another little smirk on Durant's face as Draymond denied him there on the final inbounds, and Draymond was talking. Draymond was really kind of letting Durant have it, and Durant just kind of turned and walked toward that tunnel and just kind of smiled like you crazy da 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 da. And so, but smiled like, all right, he got me. That's the one thing I love about Durant is Durant really, and I think those two instances, and I know it was kind of a weird ending, and Durant typically has some weird endings to his tenures with different teams, but Durant loves ball and respects the game, and like just the smile and appreciation of Steph probably beating him in that moment, and even the smile of Draymond stopping him and like that. Damn, he got this one. They got this one. There's a real respect of the game, admirable tone. Like there's other BS to Durant that I understand why it frustrates people, but in game and about basketball and appreciating the greatness, when you talk about appreciating greatness, and you pointed out Durant specifically, he's always kind of locked in on the moment, and I think appreciating what's going on the basketball court in those big time moments.
Oh, I think there's no doubt about it. And one of the cooler moments of the night actually was when they were announcing the Suns starting lineup. And you know how it's the visitor, nobody cares, the lights are on, it's blah, blah, blah. Kevin Durant's name was first, and the crowd got up for it. Like, they gave him a good round of applause. So I thought that was cool. Just like years later, it's like still recognizing.
Only the second game back with fans. Remember the first game with fans was opening night of this season. So this is the second time that Durant has played it at Chase since he left the Warriors with fans. He had the one game during COVID that with Brooklyn, and so I like Durant. I've always liked Durant. I just kind of like his demeanor. Alpha Nickelberry, JD, I'm really hoping and praying that Klay can get it going. If so, this team has no limits to where it can go. Yeah, he's kind of the missing link for sure right now. Absolutely. And so, we'll see. I mean, I think Klay needs to take a page out of the Wiggins book, and just like Klay's in one of the cycles right now where he's stressed about it all, and he's wearing it, and he's feeling it, and he's more angsty, and like he needs to get to the point where he can just let it go again and understand that he can still help this team win in a lot of different ways. All right, let's do a quick fun with numbers, and then we'll wrap it up here. Dubs OT with JD, KNBR, the sports leader, Greg Silver out at Harmonic Brewing in Thrive City. Appreciate everybody out at Thrive City. Jimmy and Julia and Mike and Grace. I'm not sure who's working tonight, but those are the regulars that are out there on a night in, night out basis, always doing a fantastic job. So a quick fun with numbers here tonight. Let's run through some stuff. Warriors won their fourth in a row, 25-25. Second straight home win, back over 500 at home. And the Warriors ended Phoenix's 3-game winning streak and 3-game road winning streak. This was the Warriors' second win in games decided by 1 point this season. They're 2-4 in games decided by 1 point. The other one back on November 1st against Sacramento with the Klay Thompson game winner back. Then Warriors back to winning the clutch games, up to 35, now 17-18. All 4 games against the Suns this season were clutch games. The Warriors won against the Suns for the first time. The Warriors, we talked about the Suns' 3-game streak snapped. The Warriors also ended a 3-game losing streak to Phoenix as they won 1 of the 4 in the regular season series between those two teams. Warriors had 33 assists, 14-7 when they have 30 or more assists, and they've done that in each of the last 3 games. Another good night for the Warriors bench, outscoring the Suns 30-25. And then some individual notes. Stephen Curry, 10th career game-winning shot in the final 5 seconds. The last one came in Oklahoma City on November 3rd. Which was the game after the last time the Warriors won a 1-point game. It was
long reviews.
Yeah, long reviews that night as well with the Draymond. Did he alter the shot? Did he grab the rim? Did the rim grab impact the play? All of that. Kuminga 21, 13th 20-point game of the season, and he's now scored in double figures in each of the last 30 games. Gary Payton II back. We talked about GP2 Missed the last 16 games with the hamstring strain. Remember, that looked like it was going to be a much more severe injury. It wound up not being, and he ended up finishing with 11 points on 5 of 5 shooting. Podziemski, 12th game of the season with at least 10, 5, and 5, which is the most among rookies with the 10 points, 7 boards, and 8 assists in this one. Greg, great stuff, man. I'll just kind of give you the floor here for some final thoughts out at Harmonic in San Francisco, and then we will go enjoy the big game tomorrow and reconvene on Monday following the Dubs and the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, big week for everybody. The focus turns to football tomorrow, but I think the Warriors have 3 challenging games coming up. We mentioned both of those Utah games are going to be very challenging emotionally, as well as possibly on the court, just because being back in the same city where Decky suffered a heart attack and passed away. And then the Clippers have been playing better than anybody for the last couple of months. So 3 really good games, and curious to see where the Warriors stand heading into the All-Star break. But it is a much-needed break. We're really excited to get back to it on Monday. Just a big thank you to all of you for tuning in, and a big thank you to JD for allowing this opportunity while you're in Vegas, and a big thank you to our boss, Adam Copeland, who you can go and party with now for giving the green light on everything.
Yeah, great to have you out there for the game tonight on hand and able to watch it in person and then hang out at Harmonic. Make sure Jimmy gets you a brew before you call it a night as well. And I'm going to go have one with the folks on hand here in Vegas for the big game tomorrow. Thanks to everybody on YouTube and Twitch and that watched on the KNBR Twitter feed as well. We will talk to you Monday. Enjoy the Super Bowl tomorrow, 49ers and the Chiefs. We'll see if San Francisco can get that 6th Super Bowl ring, which has been so elusive here now for the last 29 years. For Greg, I'm JD. We'll talk to you Monday night, KNBR, the sports leader.